Story 1. Am I the a-hole for getting upset with my husband after he told me nothing will change while I'm pregnant? Throwaway account. So me, 26 female, and my husband, 28 male, who I'll call Jake for this story, have been together for 5 years and married for 3. We've recently started trying for a baby as we both felt like that was the next step in our life together. And 3 weeks ago, I got a positive test back. We were really happy and told our families, and now my mom and mother-in-law want to throw a big baby shower for us. It was just super good news all around. Well, 2 nights ago, me and Jake were getting ready for bed when he reminded me to go through the house and make sure all the lights are off. Now, he can be a little lazy at times, and it has become a nightly routine for me to make sure all the lights are off that he leaves on before we go to bed. I wasn't feeling very well and asked if he could just do it since he wasn't doing anything and was literally standing by the door. He then tells me, "No, this is what's expected of you every night." I was a little hurt, but I didn't want to fight with him, so I just did it. When I came back, Jake goes on this very long and unprovoked rant, saying things like, just because you're pregnant does not mean anything will change, and you are still expected to cook, clean, and do all the chores every day because how can you be expected to be a mother if you can't handle a little work? He wasn't yelling or anything, he was talking to me quietly like he was 2 inches tall. I was shocked because I had never heard him say anything like this. The rant went on for about 30 minutes before I interjected and asked, "Well, what do you plan on doing to help me with all of this?" He then got extremely defensive, saying he works his butt off at his job to provide for me and what is going to be our future children. For context, I don't work at the moment. My job was not paying enough to justify me going, so I am a full-time college student. He ended by saying that it doesn't matter how I feel physically or mentally, it is a mother's job to push through, and if he helped and babied me, I wouldn't be a good mother. I got extremely upset and started yelling, and I said that I wish I would have known this is how you felt before I got pregnant with your baby. There was a moment of silence before he started crying, and he left for the night to stay at his mother's house. He hasn't been back yet, and my mother-in-law and sister-in-law have called me, berating me and saying I broke Jake's heart with what I said, and I need to apologize immediately, and until I do, he isn't coming home. I don't know how to feel. So am I the a-hole for yelling at my husband after he said he isn't helping me with anything during the pregnancy because it's a mother's job to deal with it? Edit. First, I want to thank you all for your responses. I'm sorry I haven't really responded to anyone specifically, but I really do appreciate you guys. A few of you asked if I told my mother-in-law and sister-in-law what he said, which I did. They basically said I was being sensitive, and all he meant was pregnancy isn't an excuse to be lazy. He meant no harm. Okay. I'm getting some things together and I'm going to be headed to my mom and dad's house. My mom is furious with him and doesn't want me apologizing to him or talking to him without the situation either being recorded or having a witness. Regardless, I am okay and will be okay. I do appreciate all of you though. You've opened my eyes to many things I may have been ignoring or looking past over the years. Holy crap. I just cannot wrap my head around this guy. Absolutely, the person posting this, not the a-hole. You know who is the a-hole? The person who's just like, you gotta still do all the work even though you are going to go through something that is both mentally and physically unbelievably taxing on your body. Something that is 9 months of just dealing with stuff that I as a man can't comprehend. And then for her to be like, I wish I would have known this, before I had your baby, for him to just basically go, "Mommy," and go running off, and then for it to be like, "I'm not coming home until you apologize. I'm staying with my mom." I'm so sorry that this poster found out that she was pregnant, only to realize that she already apparently is taking care of a child. It's perfectly okay for there to be a dynamic of one person is doing most of the work and bringing in money, and another partner is, more just taking care of the house. That's fine. My partner works many more hours than I do, and so I am the one who does more of the stuff around the house, just to help out and everything. That's totally fine, but pregnancy is such a huge thing, and to be like, I don't care what you're going through, that's your job and I'm not gonna help. That's what a mother's supposed to do. You have to push through. Hey, bud, if you want her to be a good mom, Maybe try acting like a good dad and pitch in when she needs help, you absolute lazy piece of crap. Oh, I'm mad. Story 2. The whole beach wasn't enough. I recently traveled to a beach town to visit relatives. I'm there so often that quite a few people think I'm a local. Both locals and tourists are pretty good at respecting personal space and won't sit right next to or in front of / behind you. In my 20-plus years of making multiple visits per year, I've never had a problem with tourists until my most recent visit. I get to the beach early, like at 8:30 a.m., and I set up my chair and umbrella. There are maybe 5 other families already set up for the day, so there's no one within a 100-foot radius of me. For the next hour and a half, I'm blissfully enjoying an audiobook, and a handful of other people show up. The entire beach is still empty. All of a sudden, I feel a tap on my shoulder, thinking it was my relatives deciding to join me. Nope, it was an incredibly obese, trashy-looking woman in her late 30s, early 40s, standing over me. Behind her was about 12 other people who appeared to have packed up their entire house and were lugging it through the sand. She's an entitled parent. Entitled parent. Excuse me, but you're in our spot. What spot? This is our spot. My family is staying at the hotel right over there, and we've been sitting in this spot for the last 4 days. You need to move. No, I don't. I was here first. I said this is our spot. This whole stretch of beach is reserved for hotel guests only. Me, knowing that not a single hotel reserves spots or parts of the beach for guests, okay, well, go get someone from the hotel to move me. If you can find someone, I'll gladly move. Well, there's no one working right now. You're just going to have to believe me. There are literally miles of open beach. Pick a spot and enjoy your vacation. Entitled parent both yelling at me and her family. This lady has just ruined our vacation. We need to find a different spot. So she and the rest of the family plopped their stuff down literally 10 feet to the left of me, despite the entire beach still being open. For the next hour, I pretend to be asleep listening to my audiobook, but instead I'm listening to an entitled parent. Every word out of her mouth is how much of a bee I am. It was so inconvenient that she had to carry her stuff an extra 10 feet, etc. I was overjoyed when the lifeguard kicked her and the rest of the equally trashy adults in her group off the beach for refusing to put out their cigarettes. Why would this woman act like that? Like, seriously. You could see that the person was in that spot, and all you had to do was just angle away and find a different spot and enjoy the beach. But you felt some claim to that spot, saying like it's reserved for hotel guests. How do you know this person wasn't a hotel guest? Like, this is so baffling to me, because this woman and her group could have potentially had a nice time had they just picked a different spot and not acted like complete entitled jackholes. Like, I don't understand it, because even from her point of view, she's like, oh, that was our spot. What is arguing and everything? Like, how is that going to improve your day, having that spot? Like, it's a beach. There's nothing to it. Like, why? Why would you get into an argument? You have to know that that is going to make your day worse and this person's day worse. Like, just leave people alone and go and enjoy yourself. Just decide to go and leave it be. You'll be happier. That person will be happier. There's no cost to you. But there are just certain people out there who just seem to absolutely need conflict, and I don't get it. Do you not want to be happy? The conflict never seems to make these people happy. They just get angry and scream all the time. Story 1. Am I the a-hole for moving my son into a rental apartment after finding out that his dad's been canceling his job applications? My son, Aiden, 23, moved back in with us upon graduating college as my husband wanted. My husband's original plan was to have Aiden live with us for free, but stay home and help with his disabled younger brother, 16. Aiden started complaining about needing money and wanted to find a job. My husband was against this and even offered to double his allowance, but Aiden was growing tired of staying at home. So he began looking for jobs here and there for over a year, but none of his job applications came through. He'd just apply and they never get back to him. We were confused by this till recently. I found out that my husband was behind all the job applications being canceled. He waited till Aiden applied, then he proceeds to call the application by impersonating him and using his email. I blew up at him for this, but His justification is that he's just trying to make sure that our younger son is cared for by Aiden, and said that Aiden has been a big help and him getting a job will affect his care for his brother. I went ahead and rented an apartment for Aiden and told him to stay there till he finds a job and starts paying for it himself. Aiden was hurt upon knowing what his dad did. My husband was livid when he found out. He called me unhinged and said that I was separating the boys and teaching Aiden to become selfish and care more about a job than family. He also said it was a huge decision for me to rent an apartment without even running it with him. He has been giving me hell about it and calling me a terrible mother for encouraging Aiden to be selfish and self-centered. He said I needed to see and understand why he did what he did. Edit, a few things to mention. My husband says that since he and I have health issues, then we could use Aiden's help. 2, when I suggested outside help, my husband refused, saying he won't ask anything from anybody and that his son is his problem and nobody else's. 3, I used money from our joint account to pay for the rental apartment. My husband said it was wrong and that I was a major waste of money since we deal with medical bills constantly. Look, there is nothing wrong with, grown-up kids staying with adult parents or having multi-generational homes or anything like that where you take care of one another. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think that that is honestly a thing that a lot of us could benefit from and is kind of healthy. Like, keep your family and your loved ones close if they all want to be. That's kind of the big thing here. Aiden finished college and clearly wanted to use that degree, wanted to go out and get a job. That is what Aiden was after. And the father was standing in the way of that, just like, no, he needs to stay home and be part of the family, be with the family. Like, no, you can't make that decision for him. If Aiden wanted to just be home and get an allowance and have his job be basically taking care of his brother, that's great. That's fine. That is Aiden's choice. But it is Aiden's choice. And to take that away from him is manipulative and wrong. I mean, this father was doing it by lying and impersonating him. And I don't blame Aiden for being hurt. And I definitely don't blame this mom for doing what she could to get Aiden out of there so he could actually pursue what he wanted to. This father is the one that is just being unhinged and very unreasonable. You can't force this stuff on your adult children. I'm sorry. Story 2. My dad felt my savings should go to my brother. So this happened a couple of years ago, but it still just hurts. My dad and I have never really seen eye to eye. He grew up with no sisters and an awful mother figure, and none of his friends have daughters, only sons. I don't blame him for struggling to raise a girl when he had absolutely no reference point, but he didn't need to show blatant favoritism towards my brother. I've always been the black sheep a little. My parents and younger brother have always been this nice little trio. My brother is a mummy's boy, but daddy dotes on him regardless. He's 4 years younger than me. I'm 18 and he's 14. I've struggled to find my place in the family. Even my standing as to which sibling I am isn't certain because my dad accidentally impregnated a girl at 19, had my half-brother, and I was born 14 years later. My older brother was enough in my life that I don't feel like the oldest child, but not enough to feel like the middle. I'm just dad's retrial at parenting, and my brother is the beneficiary of all his practice. Now, aside from that little rant, the actual story. My brother and I are very musical. I play a multitude of instruments, he just plays saxophone, and he's good, always has been. He suffered classic younger sibling syndrome. We were in a much better financial position when I began playing clarinet. I got a really good beginner/intermediate model that I still play today. When he started about 4 years later, things had gotten tight, so he had to rent his from the local concert band, and it wasn't great. Originally, it was fine because my parents didn't want to invest in something he might not commit to, but he did and loved it. At this point, I was 15, and I'd been working for 2 years at a local sports club, earning less than minimum wage because I was underage, working my butt off and saving a pretty hefty percentage of my income. My father, who felt responsible for my job since he knew the owner, but I'd actually gotten the job myself, decided he was entitled to my savings, about $500 at the time. His exact words were, "We could use your savings to buy your brother a better saxophone." God, it crushed me. First of all, you cannot get a sax better than the one he has for only $500. Secondly, what kind of father asks one child to give up practically 2 years of work for another? It made me feel like he had more pride or hope for his son than his daughter's savings should contribute towards it, even though at the time I was saving for a student-level clarinet and he knew that. He never offered to pay the money back or anything, and thankfully, after I asked Mom what she thought of it, she lost her mind. It was never brought up again, though he has asked for my savings since then, and I've said no. Can't wait to move out next year. Edit, so I should clarify a couple of things clear. My father didn't actually take the money. Mom shut that situation down real quick, but it didn't stop him from asking and trying to manipulate me into giving them up for a long time. I live in New Zealand and my accounts have been in my name since I was 13. My parents have just as much right to them as the stranger across the street. Absolute zero. Credit isn't really a thing here, so that's not an issue either. Can't believe all the attention this got, and thanks for all the advice. Edit 2. I have half a year of high school left, and the next year I'm moving 8 hours away to university, so that's where my savings are going. I can't move out now. Also, to explain the minimum wage situation in New Zealand, minimum wage is $17.70, and it tends to go up every year. However, you don't have to pay minimum wage to employees under the age of 16. You can pay them whatever you want. I started on $10 an hour at age 13, and nearly a year into the job, I went up to $14.25, as that was the current minimum wage, and that's where my wage stayed until I turned 16, even when the minimum wage rose. Edit 3. Don't appreciate the tax I'm receiving about how much I had in savings after 2 years. That isn't what this post is about. Okay, first off, who is attacking this person on having $500 in savings after 2 years? For someone who is, under 16 and going to school and doing band and all this other stuff, they probably don't have a whole ton of time to work. So I imagine they're not getting all the money in the world, and probably some of the money they're getting, they are spending on activities with friends and stuff. So folks gotta chill out there. Don't come at him with that. She's not working full time, okay? But knowing that you were saving up for your own thing with all this work that you're doing yourself, for the father to even ask is just kind of gross. I don't think it's wrong for parents to maybe ask for help from a kid if the family really falls on hard times. Ideally, that doesn't happen. A child should not have to be acting as an adult, but hard times happen. It's understandable. But to ask for that money to buy a different instrument for one of the younger kid when the older one is saving it up for themselves and their own thing, that's just it's putting them in such a bad spot. No matter what she does, if she gives the money, now she's not getting what she's worked 2 years for. And if she doesn't get the money, she's made to feel bad. Don't put that kind of pressure on your kids, parents. Not for something like that. Story 1. Am I the a-hole for making a scene of my adult son and sticking my nose in his marriage? I'm 60 and bad with the whole text thing on mobiles, so I'm hoping I won't be judged on my grammar. Here's the important background. My daughter-in-law, 32, and son, 33, have 3 children aged 3 years, 2 years, and 4 months. He convinced her to be a stay-at-home mom and sell her business by telling her how good of a childhood he had and how happy my marriage was, without telling her, which I found out today, that our arrangement was everything before 9 a.m. and after 5 p.m. was split 50-50. Sunday was my day off, and I was brought out twice a week. On to the story. On my last visit, I noticed my daughter-in-law was struggling mentally, so my sister, 55 female, and her girlfriend, 53, pooled our money together and paid for a spa weekend for them while we'd babysit the kids for her birthday last weekend. I was preparing on Thursday evening for the kids to arrive when my daughter-in-law rang me holding back tears, saying they won't be going because my son's friend came to town, and he said he wanted to spend the weekend with his friends catching up. I pressed her a little, and I'm talking a little about her situation. She came clean about him doing no chores, no date nights, and her basically doing all of the childcare because that's what stay-at-home moms do. I was honestly disgusted. I convinced her to drop me off the kids and bring a friend to the spa. I even dipped into my savings and gave her 500 euros to buy herself something nice. When she dropped me off the kids, I begged her to tell me where son was. After 5 minutes, she told me about the bar. She left for the spa while I left for the bar. She knew I was going there and knew my sister-in-law were taking care of the kids. Here's where I might be the a-hole. I went to the bar where he and his friends were. I sat down next to the group and asked my son, "Did I fail you as a mother, or was it your father because we both thought your partner comes before your silly drunk friends?" The post is getting long enough, but long story short, I humiliated him and got myself banned from a bar. My daughter-in-law says she will take the kids to her parents when she gets back tomorrow, and my son is calling me an a-hole for humiliating him / sticking my nose in his marriage. Maybe I should have stayed out, I don't know. Edit, I just want to say I'm heartbroken, not by any judgment toward me or my parenting skills, but the fact a lot of people are shocked I care about my daughter-in-law's mental health and stood up for her against my son's bad behavior. I just want to say, as a mother, my advice is treat your daughter/son/non-binary in-laws how you'd want your children to be treated. Respect goes a long way. Okay, first off, I absolutely adore this mom, this poster. You're not an a-hole at all, but I am sorry to hear that your son turned out to be quite the a-hole. The fact that he has this whole yep, you're the stay-at-home mom, so you have to do everything, and I get to do whatever I want when I'm not working. Nope. Not how that works. Not how it works in a good partnership. And yeah, I don't blame this mom for how this guy turned out either. Might have been the father or other things. Who knows? But this mom sounds like a lovely person. And the fact that she embarrassed her son in front of his friends and stuff, that's the least that should have happened. This guy deserves a little bit of hell rained down upon him, and he got a light sprinkling of heck. That's it. And if he's going to be upset and butthurt about that, oh boy, it doesn't surprise me. Does not surprise me at all. Folks, if you're in a partnership and one of you decides to be a stay-at-home parent, that does not mean that everything in the house falls to you all the time. The kids are your responsibility. Every chore is your responsibility. Every meal. Nope, doesn't work that way. And if folks would like to disagree with me, kindly to get in touch with me instead of leaving a comment. Feel free to write your thoughts out on a piece of paper and then crumple that up and shove it right up your butt. Story 2. My entitled sister wants me to house my niece for free during uni. My niece had to move back in with her mother after the lockdown started. She lost her job and all her classes were online. Her lease was month to month, so she didn't have to worry about breaking her lease. Recently, the schools have reopened and she started attending classes again. Problem is, her apartment, which was walking distance from her university, is now rented. Parking in the area sucks, and it's an hour one way from her mother's house on public transit. I will say now that my niece is also incredibly spoiled and is taking classes for a degree with no practical benefits. By this I mean that it will in no way help her with a career path, nor are they necessary courses for further education. Got a call from my sister asking if my niece could live with me because I live alone in a 2-bedroom house and I'm a 15-minute bus trip away from her uni. I said no for several reasons. I work nights and need to sleep during the day. My niece is a very loud young woman and doesn't understand the concept of an indoor voice. Last time she stayed in the same home as me, I was sleep deprived because of her practically yelling on her phone, and it affected how I did my job, resulting in a write-up. My niece is also a very messy person. I helped with the move out and the memory makes me shudder. Some of the unwashed dishes in the sink were tossed because they were beyond cleaning. She tried to just sit on random crap and text her friends and scroll TikTok. I had to take her phone and lock it in the glove box for the U-Haul we rented to get her butt moving to help. My sister still calls me a bee for doing this. While I may have a 2-bedroom home, the second room is my office/workroom. I've been in the process of making wire-wrapped necklaces to sell online for extra income, and I need the area as a workspace. It's also my library, for lack of a better word. I keep my collection of novels on bookshelves there, and a comfy old recliner for reading in. My niece is allergic to cats, and I have 3. My sister seems to think I can keep them all either in my bedroom or locked up in the basement for the school year. F that right there. And this is the big one. My old sister is under the belief that my niece wouldn't have to help out with household expenses or be expected to cook for herself. She also thinks that my niece shouldn't have to get a job while in school to focus on her studies. Tried to pull the "we're family and should help each other out" card, but that didn't count for crap when my step-siblings nearly made me homeless after my stepdad died and gave me 30 days to find a new place for me and my dog. Dog-friendly buildings where I live are hard to find. The only way I would agree for my niece to live with me is that she would give me $250 a month to help cover utilities and part of the internet. Figured that's a steal considering a cheap place around her school is more than double, even triple that, plus utilities, and she could use the garage for her car for free. But I would also expect her to buy her own food and clean up after herself, like doing her own laundry, keeping her room clean, and putting her dishes at least in the sink, if not the dishwasher. Would not expect her to cut the grass or shovel snow. The thought of even asking her to do this already gives me a headache. Now I'm getting texts from my both sisters telling me that I'm a horrible person and should open my home to this. That is unreasonable to expect a 19-year-old to spend 2 hours on the bus every day and yada yada. Part of me feels guilty because I could move my office and workspace down into the basement. Can't be a living space due to lack of windows, but I can't afford the expense of a second person in my home without them chipping in for the bills. Nor will I lock my cats away in their home. Edit, thank you so much for the awards. I did not expect this to blow up like this. Edit 2, should have been more clear. I don't have plans on letting her live with me. The $250 thing I mentioned was more a what-if situation that I'm not entertaining. The post was more a rant than anything else, but I am appreciative of the advice and the validation of my choice, even though this wasn't meant to be Am I the A-hole post. Third and final edit. Had a long talk with my sisters about the situation, also spoke with my niece. Had no idea her mom and other aunt were trying to arrange living with me. She has plans on moving in with her boyfriend of 2 years, and her mom blew her top. End of story. I don't need to worry about her moving in with me. She didn't want to. I have too many rules for her taste. Laugh my butt off. Well, hey, at least the niece, wasn't in on this and knows what she's about, so, good on her for that at least, and I'm glad to hear that the situation has resolved itself. But folks, you gotta stop using, oh, but we're family. Like, quit pulling that card. I'm sorry. It's not good enough. And, oh, we're family. Well, you don't burden family or just expect them to be burdened with your kids and their problems necessarily. Like, hey, you can ask. Asking's fine. And you can be reasonable about costs and all that kind of stuff. But you don't just get to be like, you're going to be a mother, basically, for a year to a child you can't stand. No, why do people expect this kind of stuff? Like, absolutely. If this person really did want to help and was able to help in all those ways, that'd be nice, sure, but to just expect it and be upset when that is not, given? No, you don't be that entitled, okay? Jeez. Story 1. Am I the a-hole for punishing my daughter for not helping us search for my niece? My daughter, 17, and niece, 6, are the only grandkids in our family. My niece was a rainbow baby and the only child in our family. I found out about my daughter when she was 9, so we missed most of her childhood. So naturally, she gets a lot of attention. My daughter is clearly jealous of her and has been very mean towards her. A few days ago, we all went shopping and my niece went missing in the crowd. Naturally, we all panicked and started to search for her while my daughter was on her phone playing. I told her that my niece is missing and she said, good, I hope she's not found, and went back to her phone. So when we got home, I grounded her for a month. She thinks I was the a-hole. Edit, so I'm going to give you a quick update while I figure out how to deal with her now. I decided to have a conversation with her about her feelings and behavior towards her cousin. We didn't have much of a conversation because she kept crying and screaming at me, listing all the times everyone ignored her or favored my niece. I honestly didn't realize how awful we've been to her. She is my little girl and I never meant to make her feel like this. I'm going to talk to my family and tell them we need to throw her a late birthday party since we had to skip her birthday because my niece was very sick. It will be a day only about her, and from now on we have to be more careful about how we treat her. I don't know what to do other than that, and I probably won't be giving any more updates since I have to figure out what to do now. I'm sorry, but at 17 years old, I get having some jealousy and being a little upset, and maybe she, has been ignored and stuff like that. Absolutely, and sure, stuff should be done to rectify that, but she's 17 years old, and a 6-year-old girl was missing in a crowd, and she's like, good, I hope she's gone forever, and played her on her phone. She does deserve to be punished for that, or grounded or something. That's borderline. Well, I don't want to use the term sociopathic because that's not technically that. I'm not smart enough to know exactly what each term means, and I'm certain people are going to tell me in the comments, and every time that's happened, people have been wrong, so go ahead. But no, I don't care how jealous you are. At 17, if a 6-year-old child is missing, you don't B, just like, nah, whatever, I don't care. Like, that's really, really kind of bad. So, yeah, maybe she needs some more attention and needs to be appreciated more, but she also needs to sort some other stuff out because, yikes. Story 2. Roommate stole from me, so her wallet vanished. Back in college, I had better credit than my 3 other roommates, so I put our internet/TV under my name, otherwise the deposit would have been $600. The cable company offered me a $300 Visa gift card upon sign-up. 2 months later, I called them because the gift card never arrived. They tell me they sent it a few weeks ago, and eventually I'm able to find out from Visa that someone used it at the Whataburger, Target, and liquor store near my house. I'm peed off because obviously one of my roommates has used it, but I don't know which one. A few weeks later, roommate number 2 complains that their $200 birthday card to Target has gone missing. His mom still had the receipt, and the store was able to tell her that someone used it at the Target near our house. He's obviously peed off too, but we've now realized it's probably one of the other 2 roommates. A couple weeks after that, roommate number 3's wallet disappears. We turned the house upside down looking for it, and we knew it had to be in the house because her car key is attached to her wallet and her car is parked at the house. She is absolutely frantic, sobbing, screaming, hyperventilating, etc., throwing crap everywhere and just having an absolute meltdown while tearing the house apart. We had never seen her behave like this, so we're all kind of surprised she'd be that upset about her wallet. It's stressful, sure, but I genuinely was concerned about how she was reacting. She says the gift card thief must have taken it, implying it's roommate number 4, the only person who hasn't had something stolen yet. A few days after that, I found her wallet in the trunk of my car. We had gone to get groceries together, and I guess she just laid it in the trunk while we were unloading. I'm like, holy crap, I found her wallet! And then I open it up because I'm just excited to confirm that I did indeed find her wallet. Bam! Both stolen gift cards, front and center, no doubt. The Visa gift card has my name printed on it, and the roommate number 2's mom has written something in a Sharpie on his gift card. I realized she had a meltdown because she was afraid we'd find out she was the thief. I left the wallet, cash and all, right where it was, pushed up against the inner lip of the trunk so you couldn't see it unless you leaned further into the car. A locksmith wouldn't make her new keys without the title, and the title was in the glove box of her locked car. All in all, she spent about $500 replacing her driver's license, title, and keys, not to mention not being able to drive her car for 2 weeks. I moved out of state with her wallet still in my car, finally tossed it in the trash several months later. Sometimes the universe assists you with petty revenge. I mean, that is good revenge against her. It does not get you the, money that you lost or the money that your other roommate lost back, though. I feel like actually confronting her or going to the other roommate and being like, hey, we found our stolen stuff. Maybe we could even press charges or something. I don't know. I feel like, don't get me wrong, I'm okay with the petty revenge. It was well deserved. But at the same time, I feel like there's a form of revenge that also gets you your stuff back. I mean, I guess granted they were both gifts, so you kind of lost something that you never had in the first place. But, I don't know. And also, did she really learn a lesson? No, because she doesn't know that she was caught for stealing. She just learned not to misplace her wallet. I don't know. I want more. I want more justice. But I guess, a little bit of petty justice will have to do. Story 1. Am I the a-hole? I didn't attend my son's wedding. I instead spent the evening with his ex-wife. Quick backstory. After graduating high school, my son moved 3 states away for college. At 19, he married a girl he met. I tried convincing him to wait because I personally felt he was too immature. They both dropped out and moved back here to his hometown. At 20, they had their first child, a beautiful little girl. 6 months later, my daughter-in-law gave birth to their second son, a little boy. After the first baby, my wife and I noticed our daughter-in-law wasn't happy. We both thought it was postpartum depression related. Just after the second arrived, my son and his wife separated. She would bring the kids over for a visit. It was then she began unloading on us. I know there's 2 sides to every story, but considering I know my son, I believe her. I sat my son down numerous times to speak with him regarding his marriage. He refused to take responsibility, blaming her for everything, even when I directly pointed out when he was the sole problem. They got into counseling. For a year, things were okay on the surface. Our daughter-in-law filed for divorce. My son 3 days later was on Facebook announcing his new girlfriend. A month later, they were engaged. My son had forced his then-wife to become a permanent stay-at-home mom at the birth of their first child. She, of course, had no other family or friends here. She knew no one aside from us. She had nowhere to go with 2 small children. Unbeknownst to our son, my wife and I helped her financially and got her an apartment. Before the divorce was even finalized, we received a wedding invitation. I made it clear to my son I would not be attending and they would not have my blessing. His mother told him she would see to it that I would attend. I stayed consistent in my decision. I also asked him not to bring his fiancée around our house out of respect for the mother of his children. The wedding happened on February 11th. The night before, my wife gave me the final push. I did not attend. Our daughter also did not attend for the same reasons. My wife picked up our grandkids, got them dressed, and attended the wedding. My daughter and I decided to spend the evening with his ex. I couldn't imagine her sitting alone while their kids attended their father's wedding. She was taken aback that I didn't end up attending his wedding. We took her out to distract her mind. I just wanted her to know she'll always be considered family to us. My daughter also made a joke that they can drop the in-law status and just be sisters now. She was very tearfully grateful. I realized just how badly she needed our support, and specifically on that night. The next morning, my son called to tell me how much of a horrible father I am for not attending his wedding. A few days later, he caught wind that I spent the evening with his ex. He said that was the ultimate form of betrayal, and further, myself and his sister would have to earn our relationship with him on his terms only. ETA, first I'd like to sincerely thank each and every one of you for your support, encouragement, and all the awards. I know without a doubt I did the right thing. I even feel differently now. His mother should not have attended either, but we can't go back and undo that. So, my son saw the post. I had sent my daughter the link yesterday so she could read the comments. This morning she texted me at work, "Dad, you went viral, LOL," but anyways, he sent screenshots of the post and all my comments to his mom. He also told her, he's dead to me now. Time will tell if he means that. I'm sure he'll see this update too. For that reason, I'm positively certain the second he needs another cash loan, I won't be dead anymore. His mom told him, "Your children have to be our #1 priority. They're not just some disposable item you can leave behind when one chapter of your life closes." Maybe one day he'll understand this. I gotta say, as much as I would usually be like, hey, you know what? Put grievances aside. It's a wedding. It's your kid. It's important. I'll say in this case, I think I'm on the side of the dad here. Like, seriously, it sounds like this son was not very good to his first wife. And this dad was just trying to be there and take care of his daughter-in-law, the mother of his grandkids, someone that's like, hey, you know what? No, you have my grandkids. You're a part of our life. You're somewhere that you're unfamiliar with. And you just had major moral objections to the way that your son was handling this stuff. And I think taking a stand and going, I'm not going to this wedding. You have not been acting, morally. I'm opposed to this. Yeah, I think that's a fair stand to make. I think it's rough. I think it's probably going to widen the divide between you and your son for a while, but maybe it teaches a lesson. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's the wrong choice there. I don't know. It's a wild situation to be in. Story 2. My mother, who didn't raise, thinks that she is entitled to a mother-in-law suite when I buy a home. Quick backstory, my mother didn't raise me and her parents did. She always chosen guys and partying over me and my siblings. This is why CPS has taken all 3 of her kids away. Once I became an adult and joined the military, she would hit me up every couple of months asking me to give her different sums of money. She works, but it's a BS job. Eventually, I asked her why she doesn't get a real job, and her response, because I would be miserable doing that. Here, I got to talk crap to people and have fun. That's all good if you can pay your bills, but she can't. She's done the same thing to my sister, who was also in the military. Anyway, I talk to her roughly 3 or 4 times a year. Last week, she was asking me when I finish school, where will I be moving to? I told her, I don't know. Her response was, well, wherever you go, you know I need a mother-in-law suite to stay at. My response was, no, I don't. After that, I got bombarded with how my generation doesn't know anything about respect and how I wasn't raised properly. Mind you, I was raised by the same people as her. Also, how my dad wanted an abortion, and if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here. After all that, I said, thanks, but I'm still never going to have an in-law suite for you. Well, enjoy your effing life, is the last thing she said before hanging up. I'm sure in a couple months, she'll come asking for something again. I'm reeling at the whole, your generation doesn't know anything about respect. neither do you. You seem like such a disrespectful person, and clearly this is a woman who needs some therapy and some help, fixing herself, but holy crap, if there's ever a reason to just go no contact, this is it. Like, I'm sorry, Mom, but it is not your kid's responsibility to constantly get you money and have a place for you to stay. Like, if he wanted to, or she, I didn't pay attention, then sure, why not? But yeah, you've been a terrible mom. Can you not see that? Like, work on yourself a bit. Fix those relationships and all that stuff, but don't just sit there expecting stuff. Like, this literally sounds like reversed roles of like a entitled child who's just kind of grown into a little craphead who expects their parents to just give them whatever they want, but very reversed. Don't do this. Bad mom. Story 1. Will I be the a-hole if I ask my pregnant wife to move out to test my loyalty? My wife is pregnant with our daughter. Initially, we were really happy and excited about it, but then she starts acting like a nut job. She gets angry and irritated for small things, insults me when she doesn't like the food I make, starts acting insecure and accuses me of losing attraction for her. For example, she wanted to eat chicken sandwiches for dinner last week. Well, I made chicken sandwiches, so she eats all the sandwiches, leaves me nothing, and tells me that they tasted like crap. I wasn't peeved because she left me nothing, but if she didn't like them, why did she have to eat everything? When I asked her this, she told me that she was hungry. Okay, fine. She does this every time. Eats everything I make and calls it crap. I don't argue with her because I work for more than 80 hours a week and I really want to have some peace when I'm home. So yesterday, a random girl started flirting with me after the gym and asked me if I wanted to go meet up with her for some drinks. I rejected her and told her that I was married. When I got home, my wife started to hug me and apologize. When I asked her what happened, she told me that her best friend suggested a test for my loyalty. So they asked a mutual friend to flirt with me and asked me out. And I passed. Yay! I'm really peed. I'm done with her antics. Will I be the a-hole if I ask her to move out? Is this a sitcom plot or something? Because what is happening with this? Like, so much of this is so weird and exaggerated. At least, I guess maybe not, but it's just weird, right? Am I wrong here? Like this? Okay. So first off, some of the stuff is going to be hormones. Pregnancy is havoc for people to deal with. There's so many different hormones and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't, I think, completely excuse like calling everything you're making, saying it tastes like crap and stuff like that. Like that's not okay. And I would have discussions and talk about that. But certainly a person, it's likely during a pregnancy, you're going to be more irritable. You're going to be dealing with a lot of pain and stress and exhaustion and just a flood of chemicals just messing with your brain. Testing loyalty is something I hate. Setting up weird tests. What are you, a cop tried to entrap someone or something? Stop it. All of this is weird. I don't like any of this. I feel bad for this person, but I also don't know about ask her to move out? What are you talking about? Do you want to break up? Because that phrasing it that way is so weird. Everything about this is weird. I'm not giving advice. I don't even know why I give advice. Why is anything? Stop it. Story 2. My aunt ruined my dinner, so I ruined hers. My petty revenge story is a little gross, so I apologize in advance. I have a sensitivity/intolerance to most meats. Red meat is the worst, and beef is particularly bad. Doctors recommend I try to get my protein from alternative sources if possible, so I've happily been a vegetarian since I was 13 or so. When I was younger, my aunt did not believe the doctors and thought I was just being fussy. We come from a meat and potatoes town, so she had plenty of friends backing her up on this. This is the same aunt who convinced my parents I was faking asthma. Turns out I wasn't. Shocker. And also refused to get her own daughter glasses because she thought she just wanted them for attention. She later discovered her daughter's eyesight was atrocious. Another shocker. I know. The whole family regularly had dinner together, taking turns hosting. When it was my aunt's turn to host, she assured me my burger was meatless. As you probably guessed, it was not. I was starving that night and gulped down my beef burger first. My aunt was smiling, and I thought it was simply because I liked her cooking. Looking back, I realized her little smirk was because she thought she had caught me in a lie or achieved whatever her endgame was. Well, a few minutes passed, and I got that familiar, unpleasant feeling in my stomach. It was then that I realized what she had done and why she was smiling. When I eat meat, I almost always get sick. I just can't hold it down. So when it came time to kneel before the porcelain throne, I decided to stay put. I instead took aim at my aunt, who was seated beside me at the head of the table. I'm really sad that the story ends there. I really want to hear about how this aunt reacted and all this stuff. Folks, if someone tells you they have a sensitivity to food, you're not the Sherlock of diets, okay? You're not here to bust some mystery when they're like, I have a sensitivity to gluten. And you're like, actually, according to the 1.5 Google article headlines that I've read, that's not a real thing or whatever. Who cares, okay? First off, none of you are actual scientists who are trying to go against this stuff. And second, who cares if it's true or not? Just listen to them. If they don't want to eat a thing because they think it upsets their stomach, don't make them eat it. Stop trying to trick people into eating stuff they don't want to eat. It's not that hard. You're not really allergic to meat and I'm going to prove it. Shut up. Why is it so important to you, you absolutely pathetic person? Stop being so concerned about other people in such a weirdly selfish and pompous way. I hope that she threw up in your mouth, aunt, and I hope it just ruined your month. I just hate this stuff, okay? Just let people just choose what they eat. God. Story 3. Entitled Parent Tries to Coach Own Daughter on How to Treat Retail Staff Rudely. So, I'm a young lady. Chest. I'm an E in my country and I think a double D in the USA. Because of that, if I'm leaving the house, bras are mandatory. About 2 years ago, when I was 19, I bought the most comfortable bra I had ever bought before. It was soft and silky, had nice thin straps, 5 back clamps, etc. I only had that bra for about 3 months until the underwire broke free and started to stab me. It happened at university, and when I got home that afternoon, I told my mother about it. I like to think I take good care of my bras, as I usually only get rid of them because I outgrew them or the straps became too loose beyond adjustment, but not because they break. The bra was $60 and only 3 months old, so maybe it was just defective? Bras really should not only last 3 months, so I was going to go to the store and ask for an exchange or refund. The only thing was, I did not have a receipt. Like I said, I take good care of my bras, so I did not think to keep the receipt. I also was not a part of their brand's customer reward service, as I only bought products there once for a sale, so they could not look up a name membership profile with them. I told this to my mom and wondered what I should do. Well, that's not okay, my mother started. You know what to do, right? Let them know that it is illegal for them to sell faulty products. Do not leave the store until you have that refunded. If the cashier says they can't refund it without a receipt, then ask to speak to the manager. They'll sort you out. My mother never worked in retail herself, but I, at this point in time, had been for about 4 to 5 years. I know the annoyance of the phrase, "Can I speak to your manager?" and was not going to enforce that on an innocent civilian. No, I'm not going to do that, I replied. That would just be rude. Well, I could do it for you then. I'll just say, my daughter bought a defective bra which is illegal to sell, and we demand a refund because according to the law... No, we're not doing that either. It's not the cashier's fault that one bra happened to be defective, so I'm not going to treat them as if it is. I'll just go in, explain my situation, and ask what their policy is about refunds without a receipt. So you know what? Ladies and gentlemen, that is exactly what I did. I walked in, found the cashier, and explained that my $60 bra broke in 3 months and I did not have the receipt in the friendliest and kindest way possible, because I know how much working retail sucks. The lady said that she did need some proof of purchase and asked me what day I bought it on. She was so kind and lovely as well. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. I looked at transaction 3 months ago and found the date of the exact $60 purchase. I gave her the date, she typed that into her computer, and found a transaction on that date for $60 in the exact bra color and size as mine. She printed that off, scanned that, and refunded the original purchase, all while a different attendant found the same bra in my size off the shelf and brought all 3 color options to me in case I wanted the replacement in a different color. I chose the original color, thanked both ladies for their amazing help, and walked out of the store with my new and non-defective bra. See, Mom, you can have a social interaction without belittling retail staff, acting like a know-it-all, and God forbid, demand to speak to the manager. Just be kind. Wow, look at that. Treating people with respect means that they'll probably like you more and treat you with respect in kind and be willing to help you out. What a novel concept. You don't have to sit at home, get yourself all revved up and mad, eat your bowl of lead flakes and everything, march into the store and just be like, I'm so mad at you, even though you weren't even the person I bought this from and you wouldn't even have anything to do with this defectiveness, but I'm going to take all my anger out on you because I'm an unreasonable menace to all retail. Give me what I want or I'll make your life hell. See, honey, it works just great. All you have to do is be an absolute piece of crap. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.